The Israeli military is facing strong resistance as it begins a ground invasion into southern Lebanon. Despite weeks of airstrikes, intense clashes with the militant group Hezbollah have already claimed the lives of several Israeli soldiers. So why is this ground offensive proving so difficult? We spoke to two experts to help us break it down.
A ground war in Lebanon is always a threat to Israel. It is very difficult for the Israeli military to move in Lebanon because the Israeli military is big. And the terrain in Lebanon is hilly and mountainous and dangerous and not easily navigated by a big, well-equipped military force. It's much better to be a guerrilla force in Lebanon.
They have a very vast tunnel network across southern Lebanon. Some of it will be penetrable by Israel, some of it won't.
The last time Israeli ground forces entered Lebanon was in 2006, and the costs were high. Around 200 Israeli soldiers and over 40 civilians lost their lives. A government-appointed panel in Israel later described the war as a failure. And this time, the challenges could be even bigger.
Hezbollah has become much more experienced because it fought in the civil war in Syria. So it has thousands of soldiers who have ground experience, fighting experience in real time. It has more equipment, it has more weapons, it has more rockets.
And there's another factor that could make this ground invasion even more difficult for Israel: the lack of local support.
Any military invasion of Lebanon now on the ground is going to be extremely risky for the Israelis because they don't have partners on the ground. Most people will see them as enemies.
In recent weeks, Israeli airstrikes have killed over 1,000 people in Lebanon, with hundreds of thousands more displaced.
There's humanitarian suffering and grievances within Lebanon that I think will just fuel the idea of resistance, even if not the idea of Hezbollah's resistance, that even those people who don't like Hezbollah will now go to the streets and rally against Israel and would be ready to defend Israel.
But Israel's biggest challenge, these experts say, maybe is lack of a clear strategy in Lebanon.
Israel has put itself into this place. It reached a very wrong conclusion that it can simply fight its way out of everything it has done over the past year.
Israel is so used to being in a permanent crisis where everything they do is managing conflict rather than solving conflict, that they are continuing down that path, which is again avoiding the difficult strategic decisions and just moving into the easier decision of fighting another war and fighting another conflict. Strategy is made on the negotiation table, strategy is made by politicians through politics, not by military means.